Good day. My name is Valempini Vip Tutani Ndlovu. I'm an immigration consultant. The company that I own is Explore All Immigration Consultancy. You can get hold of me on 083-879-8114. I will begin to talk about the South African immigration system, which is a complex system and can be difficult for many to understand. To explain it to you, I'll do a series of videos, and I will start these videos by talking about South African citizenship. So when it comes to South African citizenship, you automatically qualify for South African citizenship if you are born in South Africa and at least one of your parents is a South African citizen or a South African permanent residence permit holder. If you are, number two, if you are adopted by a South African citizen, you can apply for South African citizenship by descent or naturalization. You can apply to retain your South African citizenship before you obtain citizenship of another country. Unless you've been granted this retention of citizenship before acquiring the citizenship of another country, you will lose your South African citizenship automatically. You may apply to have your South African citizenship reinstated if you are a former citizen by birth or descent, or you have returned to South Africa permanently. You may renounce your South African citizenship if you intend on getting citizenship of another country. You may apply to be exempted from loss of citizenship if you acquired the citizenship of another country before 6 October 1995. And then citizenship by birth, if you were born in South Africa before October 6, 1995, or you were born in South Africa after October 6, 1995, and one of your parents was a South African citizen or held a South African permanent residence permit at the time of your birth, or you were adopted by a South African citizen or by someone who holds a South African permanent residence permit, and your birth was registered within 30 days, you automatically qualify for South African citizenship. In September 2016, the Supreme Court granted South African citizenship to a stateless girl born in South Africa to Cuban parents. Her parents had not lived in Cuba for some time. She was unable to claim her Cuban citizenship. Although this has been possible for some time, in practice, there were no application forms. Hence, the matter was taken to the Supreme Court, which granted South African citizenship to the stateless girl, like I've said. And then, so if you are also in a similar position, you can apply for South African citizenship. And then South African citizenship by descent, if you are born outside South Africa to a parent who was a South African citizen at the time of your birth, or you were adopted by a South African citizen and your birth was also registered, you can apply for citizenship by descent. And then you need to submit some documents to the Department of Home Affairs to apply for South African citizenship by descent or naturalization. And these are usually your birth certificate, your parents' marriage certificate if applicable, and then DHA forms, then identity, photographs if you are aged 15 years and above, proof of your parents' identity if applicable, proof of your parents' foreign citizenship, or an adoption order if applicable. And then citizenship by naturalization. You can apply for South African citizenship through naturalization if you've held a permanent residence permit for at least 5 years, if you have married a South African, or if you are a minor under 21 years with a permanent residence. If you are a permanent permit holder, you must have lived for 1 year ordinary residence in South Africa immediately before your application. After you've acquired your permanent residence, you should have lived for an additional 4 years in South Africa during the 8 years before your application for naturalization, excluding the year of ordinary residence. If you have a South African spouse, you must have 2 years of permanent residence. You also must have been married for 2 years immediately before your application, but after you received your permanent residence status. If you are a minor, then you can apply for permanent residence immediately. The responsible parent of a minor can apply on their behalf as long as the minor lives permanently in South Africa. You must have adequate knowledge of the duties and responsibilities of a South African citizen. Also, you must be able to communicate in one official language and must be of good and sound character. You must also intend to continue living in South Africa. And then how to apply for South African citizenship by naturalization. You pay the relevant fee for naturalization and submit the following documents to the Department of Home Affairs. The forms that you fill in there: an original South African non-citizen identity document, your marriage certificate if applicable, your divorce decree if applicable, an application for the reissue of your identity document including 2 ID photographs, the fee for the reissue of your identity document, proof of permanent residence or exemption, and then you need a police clearance if you are over the age of 18 years. And if you're under 18, your parents or legal guardian must sign the application form. So this has been me telling you about how you acquire South African citizenship via naturalization or through descent. I thank you.